Hello. Jai Jinendra, everyone. My turn today to introduce Dr. Bipin Doshi. He's a multifaceted person. So I will only speak about his medical credentials. He's been practicing medicine in Mumbai for about 45 years. And he believes in holistic medicine. He is into giving back to the society now. Any medical advice or activities he does is for free to the community. So it is our good fortune that he is going to be speaking to us for this every night during Paryushan. And he will be talking about Jainism in a very different manner. He is a dean of teaching Jainism in Mumbai. Over 6,000 students have learned from him. And he's a guide to anyone working on PhD or study or have questions about Jainism. So without further ado, turn over to Dr. Bipin Doshi.
Jai Jinendra to everybody. Am I audible now? Okay. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't actually, not very tech savvy, so I'm sorry about it. Okay. We'll start straight away with the subject. And my today's topic is who am I? Yesterday, we discussed about the salient features of Jainism. The idea of telling about the salient feature of Jainism was that somebody asked you, you identify yourself as a Jain, then what will you tell to them? So yesterday I discussed about 10 points that my religion is an ancient religion. I don't belong to prophetic system, but non-prophetic. I'm non-Vedic. We believe in equality, equanimity, eco-friendliness, our 3 ethical practices, ahimsa, aparigraha, anekant, then the strict rules for our monks, and we are the people who strongly believe in Atmavad and Karmavad. So these were the few points which we discussed yesterday. My today's topic is who am I? Now, in Jain philosophy, there are 3 major topics. The first topic is who am I, where we discuss the type of these things which are present in this universe. And the chapter is usually known as 6 dravyas. Unless and until you do not know what you are, it's very difficult to understand the path of liberation. The second topic in the philosophy, what we discuss, is Nav Tattva. Nav Tattva means what are the essentials that you must know for the path of liberation. And the third chapter, which we usually discuss, is Ratnatrayi, or how to get to the liberation. So in general, today we will be talking about the first topic, and the 2 topics will be discussed into the subsequent lectures. Now, when we say who am I, suppose somebody asks you, what are you? Then we usually identify ourselves with our profession or our nationality or our first name, whatever it is. Yes, these are practical things, but we have to understand what am I in this whole universe, and study of that is actually by 6 dravyas. The meaning of dravya over here is not usually what we say, some substance, but the meaning of dravya is real, and the word real is used to indicate that these things really exist. It is not an illusion. It is not an imagination. But these are the six things which are independently existing, of which the universe is made. Now, uh, see, usually there are many questions in our life. I have a question about my career or my family or my children. Yes, these are the practical questions. But what are the spiritual questions? When you talk about the spirituality, what are the important questions that should come in our mind? Or probably the philosophical questions which should come in our mind. The first question is, who am I? Where do I come from? Where do I go from here? Is there any rebirth or not? What is the purpose of my life? What am I like? And what does the universe consist of? These are the major questions to which we need to contemplate. Unless and until we don't start thinking about this, the journey to liberation would never start. Because, as I told yesterday also, that what is most vital in my life is my soul or my consciousness. Somebody may not like the word soul, but consciousness is us. If I'm not conscious, or if I'm dead, all the other questions are irrelevant. Now, to answer these questions, Jaina masters has done, I would say, a fabulous job, because there are infinite things which exist in this universe. They are living and non-living. They are visible, non-visible. There are changing, or the things which looks constant or not changing. There are things which we can perceive, and there are things which we cannot perceive by our sensual organs. There are things which only can be understood from the inference. I just give a very small example over here, that suppose somebody dies, something has gone out of his body. We don't see it, we don't perceive it, but we have some inference that, okay, something has gone. You might give any name to that, but yes, that's called the inference, or in our scripture language, we called it anuma. Then there is something which is extrasensory. We do hear stories here and there, but Tirthankaras have described this extrasensory knowledge very clearly and very much in detail. And lastly, now see, there are something which are mentioned by our omniscience. They are the people who knew much more than anybody, or what we call usually sarvagna. They are omniscient. They have written something in the scripture, and by faith we believe what has been written in our scripture. So these are the few ways in which there are infinite things which are existing in this universe. Now, see the beautiful classification which Jaina masters gave us. Now, when we compare this with the science, it's very interesting. When we were studying in the childhood, we were always told that in this universe there are two kinds of things, living and non-living. So similarly, even in Jaina scripture, this classification has been there since last few hundred years. And in non-living, we further classify the things into five major categories. See, as I told you, there are infinite things in the world, but we cannot remember those all infinite things. So all the infinite things are put into six major categories, and six major categories are known as six dravyas or six reals. And the two major categories are living and non-living. Now, in non-living, again, Jaina masters classified them into five things. The matter is what we see usually in our physics, chemistry, and in our all technological things. Pudgal, the word which is used for matter is a pudgal. Then time. Uh, Obviously, scientists have today science accept that there is something like time. We also accept there is a space, and there are two more words which I have put over here: dharma and adharma, which I will explain later on. Just to say that dharma and adharma doesn't mean religion and non-religion. The word used dharma and adharma in six real has a different meaning, which I will come later on. But about these six reals, see, like Hindus believe only in one real, that is Brahma, what they call Aham Brahmasmi. Jains do not believe in one real. Jain says that there are six reals and they are all independent of each other. What I mean by independent is that one cannot be converted to the another. Living can never become non-living. Time cannot become space, or space cannot become time. So there is absolutely no convertibility. They all six are absolutely independent of each other. The third point is that they are constant. Constant means in the sense that the quantity, so though they are infinite, but still, whatever is that infiniteness is there, is something which is constant. There is nothing which is added. That is, there is nothing which is vanishing or going out of it. So that the Shastriya word or the scripture word used for this is a lagu guru. Now, the fourth point is that though the things are there and which may look changing, I'll give a very simple example that there is a gold. Gold is changed into bangle. Bangle is changed into the ring, and ring is changed into the chain. Things like that. But the gold remain constant. Now, this particular concept in Jainism is described as Utpad Vyaya Drovya. See what is said that when in Samo Saran, Tirthankara gives sermon, they usually use three words only, which is called Tripadi, Upaneva, Viganeva, Dhruveva. Now, these three words, everything is explained about this universe. I'll come to that point later on. After that, each dravya, say matter or time or space or soul, they have some specific virtue which others do not have. So these are the five common things which we have to remember before we start learning about dravya. Now, before we start about what am I, let's understand this particular point, that science, as you know, does accept that there are living beings, and but Jaina masters describe living beings into two major categories. One is living beings which are pure soul. What I mean by pure soul is the soul which does not have a body, and the souls which has a body. One is called Siddhas, the other one is called Sansari. All the jivas with a body. It may be a body of amoeba, it may be a body of plant, it may be a body of earth, it may be a body of water, or it may be a body of any insect, animal, human being, and everything. These are all souls with some body with that. But there are souls which are Siddha souls, liberated souls, where there is no body. Science has accepted the soul with body, but science has not yet accepted the pure consciousness, what we called Siddhas. See, the pure soul is like a pure gold, which is covered with the body, like an ore of the gold, where there is a gold inside with all the virtues. But because of the ore, we don't see the gold, the real pure gold. So similarly, Jaina masters have described the soul which is covered with the karmic particles, and those souls are considered to be the sansari jivas, and the souls where there are no karmic particles, the pure souls are considered to be the siddha jivas. So, slide please. Now, let me first start with who am I. I'm talking right now about human being. So once you understand the human being, probably the other things we will be able to understand very easily. Now, first of all, uh, uh, who am I? I am a consciousness with body. Now, anybody who is whether he is a believer of Jainism or not, would agree with us that yes, we are having a body and there is a consciousness. We are human beings. I don't have to explain that in detail. The third point which I want to make is that we are rare. Now, when I use the word rare, and uh, uh, people might think that, oh, we are 750 crore. How can we say that we are rare? But think about the infiniteness of this universe. First, let's say that how many souls are there in this universe? We have a souls of coronaviruses. We are the souls of amoebas, the bacterias, the unicellular organisms which we see in the marine life. Then we see the insect and animals and things like that. I'll give you a very small example. The number of bacteria which are there in one small ball of in a small ball, the number of lactobacillus which are present there are in billions, millions. So we are countable. At least we are countable 750 crore. But if you just take one tree, the number of souls which are there in that root are infinite. So in terms of comparing the number of the souls which are existing in the form of human being is much smaller number than if you compare it with the total microbes, I mean the total living beings all over the universe. Now in terms of time, let's think in terms of time. We always know that the earth is going to have a life of about 10 billion years, and it is said that in first 4 to 5 billion year there is no life on the earth. Now there is life which starts as a microorganism, and then later on gradually the microorganism becomes a multicellular organism. I mean unicellular organism becomes multicellular organism, and then there is a theory of evolution, and ultimately lastly it's the human being which has been existing. So if you see again, this would remain only for few million years, and again there will be no life on this planet. This planet will become the cold planet. So if you see the total span of 10 billion years, there are only few million years where the life will exist. And again in that, there are very small time when the five-sensed organism like human being would exist. So in terms of time also we are rare. In terms of space, we know the science has gone right up to Mars and probably trying to find out whether there is a life anywhere in the universe or not. And as on today, we have not been able to find life anywhere. So consider that in such a vast universe, again there may be probably very few places where the life of this kind exists. So in terms of space also, we are rare. The fourth point is that we are unique. There is nobody who is like Dilip Shah. There is nobody who is like Sapan. And not only that, there is nobody right now. There wasn't anybody, and there is not going to be anybody. Probably there might be few people where faces may be similar, but if you take their thumbprints, or if you take the corneas, they are absolutely different. So each one of us is unique. Uh, the fifth point which I always make is we are chosen one. Why do I say this chosen one? Is that we as a student of science know that there are millions of spermatozoas, and out of those millions of spermatozoas, one is chosen, and that is you or that is me. My mother has chosen me, your mother has chosen you. So we are a chosen one, and out of millions, it's not out of few, out of millions that we are chosen. So why I'm saying all this is that we have never understood that what am I. Uh, then the sixth point which I want to make is that we have got 5 well-developed senses. There is no other creature in this universe who has got these 5 developed senses. Not only that, out of these, we have excellent, well-developed communication skill, and we have very well-developed mind. We can really find out what is right and what is wrong. We also know how to express what we really want to express. Now, if you see these few things which I have mentioned, about 8 things which I have mentioned, we have never thought in these terms. We always think that, okay, I am a human being, I'm lucky that I am a human being, and that's all. Uh, really speaking, there are 4 durlabh, or there are 4 rare things described in Uttaradiyan Sutra, which says that Manushya Bhava, or the human life, is rare. The second thing they say is that Dharma Shravan. Dharma Shravan is that you have an opportunity to learn about your dharma. I don't use the word religion for Jainism. I usually use the word dharma. So it's, you have an opportunity to know about your dharma. That is second rare things to occur. The third rare is the faith into it. See, many times we listen to our dharma, but we have no faith on that. That is the third rarity that can have. And the fourth is that after knowing the dharma, whether I am practicing it or not, which is called sanyama. Now, as you know, the first rarity is the human being. Now, let's understand that how much do I possess? What type of life I have? Very well developed communication and the mind and five well developed senses, and I'm unique and I'm rare and I'm chosen one. And yet, are we happy? We have to ask very simple question to ourselves that we have so much, we just take it for granted. And are we really happy or not? And the answer is usually, no, we are not happy. But we have a potential to be happy. And what is that potential we usually term? We have to liberate from this unhappiness. And when some of my young students ask me that, sir, what you mean by liberation? My first definition is that you liberate from your miseries. I don't start saying that Siddha Jivas and Moksha Jivas, because that may not be something which they accept immediately. So I said, do you want to liberate from your miseries? And everybody would say yes, because ultimately everybody in this world has got one purpose of life, and that is to be happy. Nobody can deny to that. And there, when we start talking about happiness, we take them further, that if there is a little happiness, there has to be an infinite happiness. A simple law of statistics: if the x exists, x raised to n has to exist, and n is always infinite. So, first of all, we try to teach the children that there is an happiness, and there is something which is called infinite happiness. Now, what is that infinite happiness? That infinite happiness in Jaina terms is described as liberation, mukti, or moksha. Now, today's generation probably may not think so much about it, but we can definitely tell them that there is a potential to liberate from the miseries you have right now by changing the attitude. And how do you change the attitude? That is what Jaina masters have beautifully told us through the concept of four kashai, which we usually speak about: anger, ego, deceit, and greed. If you understand these four enemies of yourself and try to change your attitudes toward these, probably not probably, I say 100%, your life will have more happiness than what you have. And at the end of this slide, what I want to convey to you, which has been said in Uttradhyan Sutra, and which again we emphasize to our student, that the time which is given to you is very limited. When we talk about the whole thing, I usually make two sentences here. And my first sentence is that I'm nothing. And my second sentence is I'm everything. Now, I want to justify both these sentences. When I say I'm nothing, think in terms of time. There is an infinite time. And my presence in this universe as a human being is such a small 70 years, 80 years, 90 years. What is this 90 years in the infiniteness of the time? So I am probably, infinite of that infiniteness in terms of time. Let's think in terms of space. How much space do I occupy? Think about the infiniteness of the space, and what I occupy is probably 6 feet and whatever volume I have. So if I really speak in terms of the space which I am, or which I occupy, again, I am infinite of that infiniteness. मैं वो अनंत का अनंत भाग हूँ. And lastly, when we talk about matter, I consist of matter. I have a carbon, I have oxygen, I have a hydrogen, some phosphorus, and things like that. And if you consider the matter existing in the whole universe, again, that is infinite. So really, in terms of matter, in terms of time, and in terms of space, I'm nothing. I mean, I would just think that I'm not even a drop of water in the big ocean. But still, I am everything. I'm everything because I have a consciousness. That consciousness makes me extraordinary. Something which I can say, this is me. This is something which belongs to me. And that's where we differ from non-living. So uh, uh, now here in this slide, I would like to explain you what the Jaina masters told about the pure consciousness. See, as I told you in the previous slide, that the jivas are classified into two simple categories. One, those are without the body, and those they are with the body, siddha jivas and sansari jivas. Now, if we understand what are the siddha jivas, then learning Jainism becomes very easy. And for this, we have got 8 virtues of the Siddhas. Siddha Bhagwan ke 8 gun. This is how it is described in our literature. So if I understand that what is my pure soul, if I understand that what is pure gold, then also I can understand what is ore. If I understand what is a diamond, then I can understand the rough diamond. Similarly, if I understand the 8 virtues of Siddhas, I can understand what am I as on today. Jaina masters describe the 8 virtues of Siddhas. Siddhas, again, let me tell you, are the souls without body. They have infinite knowledge, infinite perception, infinite power, and infinite conduct. When I use the word infinite conduct, it means that they are without any attachment or aversions to anybody, what we usually call vitaraga. So the first is Ananta Jnana. Okay, I'm so sorry. Because of the power problem over here, I was uh, a bit disconnected. Anyhow, I was talking about the 8 virtues of the Siddha Jivas, Ananta Jnana, Ananta Darshan, Ananta Vidya, and Ananta Charitra. When we say Ananta Charitra, it is Vitaragata. These particular souls have no attachment or aversion. Now there are four another things which are added as that these Siddha souls have no physical body. They have no birth or death, what we call Ashariri and Amar. Then they are equal. There is no inequality. What I say equal means, sorry, can change the slide. What I mean by equal is that all the souls which are called Siddha Jivas are identical. Sometimes jocularly I say that when I will go to the books and when Tirthankar Mahavir's soul will be in front of me, I will tell him that okay, now I've come over here and I'm as equal as you were, or I mean I'm as equal as you what you are. So the souls in Siddha life are all equal. And lastly, because there is no body, there is nothing like an worldly pleasures and pains, which we call Vedaniya or Vedaniya karma. So if we understand the 6 virtues of the Siddha souls, it is very easy to understand what we are exactly. Now, in the next slide, I would like to mention about the 4 different types of transmigration through which the soul would pass. See, the human being is called Manushya. All of us know about it. Then any life which is right from one sense organism to the 5 sense organism, but not the human being, are all called Tiryancha. This is also a word which many times we did not know. And the third category, which has been described in our scripture, is hellish being. Hellish being means those beings which are in the hell. And lastly, the celestial beings are also known as devas, which are there in heaven. So we describe these 4 gatis according to the karmic particle. From time which is infinite, we pass from one to another and go on changing this particular state of our life. Uh, but at the same time, there is what we call Panchamagati. Actually, it's not a gati because there is no transmigration afterwards. But we say Panchamagati, that means those jivas which are siddhas, as I have described in my previous slides. Now, when we come to the next slide, uh, what we try to uh, understand is that there is a unique concept in Jainism as far as the earth, water, fire, uh, plants is concerned. I think we have mixed here air. Okay, I'm sorry about it. Jains believe that earth, water, air, fire, and plants are living beings themselves. Actually, the science describes that there could be millions of bacteria or the viruses or other microorganisms into a drop of water. We don't talk about that. That is always there. But we also talk that water itself has a life, or the air itself has a life. So they themselves are the microbes. Now, these microbes described in Jain literature are still subtler than what we have identified as on today. We might have identified by our electron microscope microorganisms, but Jain masters that the microorganisms they are much smaller than now. Like, hello, hello, am I audible now? Okay. Hello.
Video is pretty good. Audio, no.
No audio. One minute. Still one back. Still one back. Okay. I stopped here and let me recapitulate that we must know the eight virtues of Siddhas, the pure souls, which is infinite knowledge, infinite perception, infinite power, Ananta Gnan, Ananta Darshan, Ananta Virya, and Ananta Charitra, what we usually call the Vitaragata, because these souls have no attachment whatsoever. They don't have a physical body or shariri. They are Amar. There is no birth or death, and they are all equal. All Siddhas are equal. There is no concept of inequality there, and there is no body, and that's why there is no worldly pain and pleasure. Again, the living beings are described into four categories: human beings, Tyrians. Tyrians is all the organisms from one sensed lives to the five sensed organisms except the human being. Then there are beings which are there in the hell called hellish being or narki, and there are living beings in the Devaloka which are called in heaven or celestial beings. And the fifth, which is most important, is all the jivas which are there in Siddhas, the pure souls without the body. Jainism describes the uniqueness of microorganisms. We consider there are five types of sthavar jivas, which are described as earth body, water body, air body, fire body, and plant bodies. Science has been able to say that yes, there is a life in the plant, but all other four things are not accepted by the science to be called the living. Uh, it's simply saying that science they do say that there are millions of microbes could be present in a drop of water. But what we say is that water itself is a living being. And further to that, today we have been able to find number of microbes through our electron microscope. But however, the Sukshma Jivas described in Jain literature is even much subtler than these Jivas which are described by our scientists. So that is the concept about microorganisms. The next slide, please. Now, see, the question would come in your mind that why should we know about all kinds of jivas? Like we classify ekindriya jivas, beindriya jivas, tendriya jivas, chaurendriya or panchendriya, or one sense to five sensed organism. And even when you talk about sukshma jivas, which are not understood by the present science as on today, but why should I know about all this? So my first purpose to know all this is how am I different from all the other living beings in this universe? How am I different from amoeba? How am I different from the other living beings like insects and animals? So I want to appreciate what am I in compared to those kind of living beings. The second is that once I know that there exists a life over here, say there is a water, say there is an air, there is a plant, there is a earth. I should appreciate that these are the elements which are living beings. And if I appreciate that, only then I would be very conscious to see that I don't pollute my water, I don't pollute my air, I don't unnecessarily disturb the earth or the plant. Unless and until I do not know this, my concept of non-violence will not be in practice. And that's why I need to know all kinds of jivas which exist in this universe. The third very important point is that I should know that there exists heaven and hell. See, ultimately, the life is is concept of reward and punishment. Uh, uh, I usually say that suppose on this planet or on this earth, somebody kills or somebody murder one person and somebody murder 100 people. Suppose both of them are convicted. What is the maximum punishment? It could be a death sentence. So the maximum punishment for a murder of one person and maximum punishment for the murder of 100 person is same. But in terms of Jain literature and terms of the karmic fusion in Jain literature, it is not same. Like for one murder, you might go to the first naraki, and for the 100 murders, you can go to the seventh naraki. So this much of detail about the reward and punishment has been described in our literature, which usually cannot be explained by our standard laws of crime. Uh, and right from our childhood, we are always conditioned. If your child does something good, you say, "Oh, well done," and you do give a reward. And if he doesn't do good, you might probably say, "No, this is not right." And if you don't do like this, I won't give you this. So the concept of reward and punishment is equally important for our own life, and that we can understand only we understand that there exists a celestial being or devas and there exist narkis. The last one is that I will understand that what I have to achieve, what is the potential in me to achieve. And I described previously there is an eternal potential, there is a strong potential in me to get this eternal happiness. And if I have to understand these 4 points, I must know about all the living beings. Now, right now, till this time, I have discussed about the living being, and in conclusion, human life is the only life from where the liberation is possible. Once liberation is achieved, there is no further cycle of life and death. State of liberation is a matter of self experience. One cannot describe it, it is very difficult to describe. And the self purification can occur because of the non violence, non attachment, and penance. Now I'm coming to the second very important dravya or real. Any matter which we see over here, atoms, their compounds, the energies, the forces, the radiation, the rays, which are all commonly studied in our physics and chemistry, are included into this category. And these are all non-living substances having no consciousness. The word which is used in our literature is called pudgal. Pud meaning there is a capability of integration. Gal means there is a capability of disintegration. Now see, your soul cannot integrate or disintegrate. Soul is soul. It just remains the constant. But if you take a matter, if you take one piece of anything like gold or diamond or any other thing, you can disintegrate into small atoms, or you can integrate again into the larger gross structure. So this is what is Pudgal. And the last point about the Pudgal is they are all visible. You can see again the visible is word which is used is rupee. And here let me tell you, rupee doesn't mean only that which you can see. Rupee means something which you can see, something which you can smell, something which you can taste, something which you can touch. So all these taste, smell, uh, seeing, listening to, or having a sound from it are all called rupee substances because Pudgal has all these virtues. Now, why should I know about this Pudgal? All non-living beings, I'm not related, I have nothing to do with that in my process of spirituality. But yes, we have to understand, and I have put some very important points over here. All non-living substances and materials which we use in our day-to-day life are all called Pudgal. Jain philosophy says that one should use them to bare minimum. We'll come to this concept. I mean, last time we discussed about the concept of aparigraha, which very simply means equal distribution and minimum use of resources. Now, the third point Their attachment can lead to bondage of karma, obstructing our path of liberation. However, their support for moksha marg is welcome. I mean, we are using the technology, so we are using the non-living things, but they are supporting to our moksha marg, so that is welcome. However, the last point is most important. Most important means it's something which we need to understand the state of liberation, because what we talk about karmic particles by which we are bonded, the karmic particles which obstruct our our virtues are also pudgal. And now this karmic particle described in our literature is very interesting. What our literature has described is that karmic particles are one type of pudgal. And again, pudgal means non-living particle, but they are present abundantly all over the universe. Like we have a number of waves, I in our TV we have thousands of channels, and those waves are already present in this room. Otherwise, I will not be able to pick them up. We have got 3G, 4G, 5G, and so many radioactive vibrations which are passing in this particular room, but we don't see them. Similarly, these karmic particles are there all over the universe. Now, try to understand that science has, like when we were children, we were said that, oh, atom cannot be further divided. I'm talking about 70 years back. Then we say, okay, they can be divided into two, electron, proton, and neutron. Then we came to quarks. Then we came to something which is neutrons and protons and photons and bosons and things like this. Now, science has also started talking about something like a massless particles, which was not the concept when which we were there. So science is still advancing to find out the smallest particle of the matter. Jaina masters have described that these karmic particles are so subtle that they can pass through anything without any obstruction. That is the kind of the massless particle. Today we also know that our internet can pick up the signals in the next room and easily crossing the wall which is there. So uh, whatever has been described in science, whatever has been described in our scripture, it seems that usually the science is trying to achieve or to go to that particular concept which are described. These karmic particles, as I told you, are abundantly present in the universe, and they have an affinity to bind with our soul. And every moment when there is some activity occurring in our soul, these karmic particles are attracted, which we call ashrav. They are bonded with our soul, which we call bandha. And there are activities by which our previously accumulated particles are released or dissolved or shed off, what we call nirjara. So this process of continuously coming of the particles, getting bonded and getting released from our soul is continuously going on. Now, last point is very important, that whatever karmic particle I have bonded or whatever karmic particle you have bonded, your individual soul has only the capability to remove it. That means your soul can only influence the karmic particles which are bonded by you. I cannot change your karmic particle, or you cannot change my karmic particle. Or though they are matters, there cannot be a machine which can change it. So this is how the karmic particles are. These karmic particles are put into 6 types of categories. That there are karmic particles which we call Jnanavarniya karma, which obstructs our knowledge, Darshanavarniya karma, which obstructs our perception, uh, the the particles which obstructs our faith and our character. Character means charitra. Charitra means our capability of being non-attached or non-averse is called Mohaniya karma. Then we have our capabilities, and these capabilities are obstructed by Antray karma. And there are four the karmas. These previous four are known as Ghati karmas, and now remaining four are Aghati karmas, because they don't destroy any virtues of the soul, but they add something to the soul. And because of the previous four karmas, there is a Nam karma, which I call body making karma. There is an Ayushya karma, because I have a body, there is going to be a decided lifespan, which we call Ayushya Karma. And because I have a body, there is something which is called the stages, means status of my body. I may be more handsome and somebody may be less handsome, somebody may be poor, somebody may be rich, somebody may be popular, somebody may not be popular, somebody may be successful, somebody is not successful. Then I also have a difference between the me and the amoeba or the other organism. Now this is called Gotra Karma. The lives with the bodies are not same. They are different. The state is different. And that's why we call this as a Gotra Karma. And because I have a body, I have a physical pains and pleasures, both because I have a body. So these last four karmas are called aghati karma. Again, if we understand these eight karmas and relate this with the eight virtues of the siddhas and relate it with what I am supposed to be and what I am not right now, Jainism can be understood very easily. Now, there are other, because this is the topic of six dravyas, I already discussed with two major dravyas, Jiva and Pudgal. In Pudgal, I discussed in brief about the karmic particles. Now, there are four other dravyas, Akas, Kal, which are very well accepted by science. Akas is something in which we stay. Kal is something which makes a change in the things what we are. A few years back, I was a young man. Today, I am a senior citizen. So, what has passed through this is Kal. Because of the time, my status has changed or my state has changed. But there are two more words which I have used over here, dharma and adharma. Now, again, as I told you, dharma and adharma has nothing to do with religion and non-religion. These are the specific words which are used in the concept of six dravyas. What do you mean by dharma? Now, see, every one of us knows that we consist of atoms, and everything in this universe consists of atoms. An atom has got inherent capability of a motion. There is nothing which is static. Each atom moves. I am made up of millions of atoms that they move. The earth moves in its own axis and around the sun. Sun itself moves along with the Milky Way galaxy. So if you see in this universe, there is nothing which is static. Everything is in motion. Jaina master describe that there is some substance or some dravya which assists this motion. And this assisting the motion dravya is called dharma. And in spite of everything in motion, there is a relative steadiness. You are there in USA, I am over here. We have a fixed distance from here to your place. Though everything is moving, there is something which keeps us at relative steadiness. And that substance which keeps us at this relative steadiness or the dravya that assists the steadiness is called adharma. Science is trying to understand this by the concept of dark matter, dark energy, ether, and things like that. And I'm sure one day science would come out and would say that yes, what has been described in Jain literature as a concept of dharma and adharma, uh, force, I mean, sorry, the medium which assists the motion and the medium which assists the steadiness are there in this universe. Now, why should I know about the dravyas? As I previously mentioned, I should know what am I. I should know what the living beings are all about so that I can practice not non-violence. I should know the concept of reward and punishment, where I would go from one life to the another life, depending on my karmic activities. And at the end, if I know my relationship as a soul with the karmic particle, to understand the liberation would be very easy. In a way, what I want to tell is that study of six dravya is a foundation of learning about what am I supposed to know as a Navtattva or what am I supposed to know as Ratnatrayi. I have one point to make over here is that see, we are usually taught about various kind of rituals and penances, and we are not about taught about philosophy of it. Jainism describes four types of literature, scripture, what we call Dravyanu Yoga, Kathanu Yoga,
Gaditanu Yoga, and Charananu Yoga. Now, usually we are straightway asked to learn about Charananu Yoga, that you must do this kind of penance and you must do this kind of rituals, which comes as a part of Charananu Yoga. But Charananu Yoga cannot be understood unless and until you understand the Dravyanu Yoga. And we hardly give any emphasis to learn about this Dravyanu Yoga. Friends, again, let me recapitulate in a very brief that I have to identify what I am. I also have to identify what I am supposed to be. This can be only understood by the 8 virtues of Siddhas. This can be only understood if I understand what the karmic particles are all about, how they are attached to me. Because in my next chapter, when I will be discussing the theory of karma, I will be actually discussing how these particles are attached to me, what kind of particles are attached to me, what is the process by which these particles are attached to me, and what is the process by which I can release my particles from my soul to liberate. So unless and until the study of Dravya is not well understood, the study of Nav Tattva is not possible. And unless and until study of Nav Tattva is not done properly, understanding Ratnatrayi, where we start saying Samyak Darshan, Samyak Gnan, Samyak Charitra, many of us been using these words and listening to these words years together. Now, let me conclude by saying that learning Jain philosophy is like learning few chapters of science. People think that, oh, learning Jainism is very difficult. It is something which is beyond my capability. Or somebody might say that it's not my cup of tea. Let me tell you friendly, that if you just devote 2 hours a week, I'm not asking for more than that, 2 hours a week to be taught by somebody. Because I always feel that alphabet has to be taught to you by somebody. You may have somebody in your own place, or you can directly contact people like me by the various method of communication which we have. So if you spend 2 hours in a week to learn from somebody and 2 hours a week to do your self study, if you just spend 4 hours a week, I can tell you within 6 months, it is very, very easily you can understand the Jain philosophy. I usually tell my friends in India that आप मुझे हफ्ते के 4 घंटे दे दीजिए, मैं आपके जीवन में 4 चांद लगा दूंगा. And this applies to everyone. Again, let me tell you that if I can study anatomy, which is a big volume of 1,000 pages where I used to use magnifying lens to read certain things, if I can read philosophy, if I can read physiology, anatomy, biochemistry, and you might be able to read your books of management, technology, learning Jain philosophy is a very, very simple thing. How much we may believe later on is a different subject. But learning is very easy. With these few words, I conclude my session over here. I'm sorry we had 2 interruptions because of the power problem over here. Let's meet tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll be discussing about the theory of karma. Today I've just said about what the karmas are all about. I've said that karmic particle are Pudgal. I've said that what is the pure soul and what is the impure soul. And tomorrow we will start studying from one point number 1, that is Sansari soul, or what we call the unliberated souls and the liberated souls. That how they are related, how the karmic particle changes the state of the soul. That is what we will study in Nav Tattva. Nav Tattva is very, very aptly described in our in our Tattva Sutra, Tattvartha Shraddhanam Samyak Darshanam. If you have a faith in Tattvas, that is called Samyak Darshan, and nothing starts before Samyak Darshan. So let's understand about this in our next lecture. Thank you very much. Jai Jinendra.
Thank you, Bipin Bhai.
I can't listen. I can't hear Dilip Bhai.
Thank you, Bipin Bhai.
Dilip Bhai, I can't hear.
Okay, I don't know. Doing now. Hello? I unmuted, but it is not working. Oh, you can? Okay, just want to thank Bipin Bhai. We encountered quite a technical challenge, but tomorrow is another day, and we'll take it from tomorrow. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you very much.